Has anyone ever been this excited for Monday morning to roll around?
All right, happy Monday. That was Donald Trump Jr. at last night's pre-inauguration event in D.C. And welcome to your Newsmax Daily for January 20th, 2025. Finally, a day for the history books as President-elect and former President Donald Trump, only the second president ever to win non-consecutive terms, is sworn in as the nation's 47th president in the first indoor ceremony since Ronald Reagan in 1985. It was Ronald Reagan, in fact, who signed a bill in 1983 during his first term, making the third Monday of January, today, a federal holiday in the name of Martin Luther King Jr. Federal offices, the post office, banks, and the stock markets all closed today in observance of MLK Day. Remember back in the very beginning of Trump's first term when Time magazine reported that he had removed the MLK bust out of the Oval Office? Never happened. Incorrectly reported by Time, and that was the beginning of it all. Back on Friday's show, Greg Kelly talked about some of the similarities between Trump's inauguration and Reagan's, mainly the political environment and the hostages being released and all that. That was before we knew it was getting moved into the Capitol Rotunda for the first time since Reagan in 1985 due to the dangerously cold weather. So, as it often does, history somewhat is repeating itself. It's pretty amazing, though, that it's Donald Trump coinciding with Reagan's history. Seating inside the Capitol is obviously limited compared to out on the Capitol Mall, so it was a super busy weekend full of a lot of work for a lot of people. They constructed several watch areas for live streaming, including the Capital One Arena, where Trump hosted a pre-inauguration celebration last night, which was aired live on Newsmax.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We won. We won. Thank you very much, everybody. What a good feeling. We like winning, don't we? Huh? We're going to make our country greater than ever before. Hello, Washington, and hello, America. We're all over America. I'm thrilled to be back with so many friends, supporters, and true American patriots on the eve of taking back our country. That's what we're going to do, take back our country. Tomorrow at noon, the curtain closes on 4 long years of American decline, and we begin a brand new day of American strength and prosperity, dignity and pride. Bringing it all back. Once and for all, we're going to end the reign of a failed and corrupt political establishment in Washington, a failed administration. We're not going to take it anymore. We're going to stop the invasion of our borders. We're going to reclaim our wealth. We're going to unlock the liquid gold that's right under our feet, liquid gold. We're going to bring back law and order to our cities. We're going to restore patriotism to our schools, get radical left, woke ideologies the hell out of our military and out of our government. And we are going to make America great again. None of this would have been possible without you and the millions of hardworking citizens who have joined our cause. You know, right over there, just noticed a group of beautiful ladies, beautiful women from North Carolina, right here too. I don't know how the hell they've been to 167 rallies. You believe it? You think their husbands are happy about that? I don't know. but they look beautiful. They're incredible people, and they love our country. Thank you very much. Then up here I see we have front row Joes all over the place. Uncle Sam, Mr. Wall. Oh, boy, oh, boy. But we've been through so much together, and for the next 4 years, I will fight for you every single day. We're going to be fighting for you. This is the greatest political movement in American history, and 75 days ago, we achieved the most epic political victory our country has ever seen. That's what they say. We won the popular vote for the first time of any Republican in many, many years. We swept all 7 swing states by big numbers. We won Pennsylvania, we won Georgia, we won North Carolina, we won Michigan, we won Wisconsin, we won Arizona, we won Nevada. We won them all by historic margins, and we won the great state of Florida by 13 points. Nobody's done that ever. And a record that will never be broken. All 50 states shifted toward the Republican Party, the first time that that's ever happened. All 50 states. We won the largest number of African American voters in Republican Party history. We won more Hispanic American votes than any Republican has ever gotten before, by a lot. And we won Latino men and women, and on top of that, youth, men, women, urban, suburban, rural, and people from everywhere in between are joining us in record numbers. We've never had anything like this. Too big to rig, that's what I used to say. Too big to rig. We made it too big.
That's the first 5 minutes of Trump's nearly 1 hour speech, which you can watch in its entirety on the Newsmax Rumble page, where, by the way, you can also access the Newsmax Daily. Trump also talked about what he plans on doing today.
The border security measures I will outline in my inaugural address tomorrow will be the most aggressive, sweeping effort to restore our borders the world has ever seen. You know, we had the best, safest border in the history of our country. You remember that with the great chart that I put up. I don't even know if they have that chart now. Maybe they do. These guys are good. Maybe they do. Who the? I don't know. I didn't tell them I was going to do this. I didn't tell, but we have some very good people, but I didn't say. But we had a chart, and I looked to my right, and then they said, ooh, that was it. That hurt. What the hell was that? I still have that throbbing feeling in my ear. Oh, there it is. Look at it. These people are amazing. I didn't tell them I was doing that. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's all over the place. I love that. That is the most beautiful piece of paper I've ever seen in my life. But if you look at that chart and you look at the red arrow on the bottom, that's the single lowest we ever had in history, at least recorded history, of illegals pouring into our country. We had done a great job, and then they took over, and look what happened. It's like an Elon Musk rocket ship going up. That reminds me of Elon, his rocket ships. Look at that. Look at the difference. And it just continued and continued, and we're taking in people that shouldn't be here. They come in from prisons, from jails. They shouldn't be here. Mental institutions. I used to mention, and the press would always excoriate me, I'd say the late, great Hannibal Lecter came into our country today. Silence of the Lamb. Anybody see that movie? Lovely movie. And when people went to the voter booth, they said, we don't want Hannibal Lecter in our country. The press would say, why is he bringing up Hannibal Lecter? That was a fictitious character. Actually, they're not so fictitious. We have people in our country that are probably worse that we allowed in. but we will quickly reestablish control of our sovereign territory and borders.
So expect to hear a lot more about that today. The president is using two Bibles at the inauguration, the Lincoln Bible, which he used in his first swearing in, and a Bible that his mother gave him in the 1950s. Vice President J.D. Vance also using a personal Bible for the ceremony. I believe it was one given to him by his grandmother. In a post on Truth Social, the president said he plans to join the crowd down at the arena for the presidential parade after the ceremony, which will also be a scaled-back version from the original plan. A highlight of the parade will be the garbage truck that he used during the campaign after President Biden referred to Trump supporters as garbage. That stunt with the garbage truck, the sanitation truck, the attempted assassination in Butler, of course, fight, 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 and him working at McDonald's are seen as key momentum shifters of the campaign, key moments that led to a huge victory. Trump mentioned Elon Musk rockets in that clip, right? Elon also spoke last night, as did actor Jon Voight and Donald Trump Jr.
Hello, America! I have to ask, has anyone ever been this excited for Monday morning to roll around? It's like Christmas, Easter, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, my birthday, all wrapped up into one special day where we can take back our country once and for all. But guys, we could not have done this without all of you. Those who stood steadfast and loyal, who wanted to fight for that next generation, to fight for the incredible aspects of this country that have been squandered, that have been crapped on, that have gone by the wayside. No more. That ends tomorrow at noon. Now, perhaps unfortunately, it took the last 4 years of hell that they put my father through, that they put our family through, that they put all of you through for us to fully understand just how fragile everything we believe in is. But I truly believe the opportunity we have now to start anew, not to keep the old administration from 16 to 20, the bad actors and the can kickers and those who are just trying to wait it out till we get back to normal. But now, with the knowledge of that 4 years, in conjunction with the knowledge of the last 4 years, we can truly make a difference forever. When you look at this cabinet, when you look at the fighters, you see people who truly all believe in the America First movement, and that's what this is about. Putting America first, putting our families first.
Donald Trump Jr. at last night's pre-inauguration event, again, all carried live on Newsmax. And if you were watching, as far as the entertainment goes, Kid Rock's performance was phenomenal. But perhaps nothing better than Donald Trump doing his now famous Trump dance as the Village People, and they looked good for 100, performed a stellar version of YMCA.
Yourself off the ground, I said, young man, 'cause you live in the town that's so free to be unhappy, young man.
You can't see it, obviously, but you can see it in your head, right? If you did see it last night, you know, for some reason, and I'm not even really sure why, but it was just awesome. It was epic. Then this morning, outgoing President Joe Biden, who already issued more pardons and commuted more sentences than any other U.S. president in history, capped off his legacy by issuing more pardons to guess who? Dr. Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, and members and staff of the House committee that investigated the January 6th riot at the Capitol. Biden saying in a statement that the issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing. This is Newsmax host Tom Basile and Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson.
Obviously, he pardoned his son. He just gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to George Soros. He's talking about oligarchs out there. Let's kind of put that all aside. In your mind, what stands out? When you look back on this era, these last 4 years, what stands out in terms of the legacy of this administration? And I wonder how much, particularly because of your interest in this, is the COVID abuses. How much does that really define for you what the last 4 years have been?
And stated simply, President Biden is probably the worst and most corrupt president in U.S. history. It's literally that simple. Open borders, massive deficit spending when we didn't have to do it, sparking 40-year high inflation so people can't afford things. The embarrassing and dangerous surrender in Afghanistan that emboldened our enemies and set the world on fire. He talks about oligarchs. Yeah, we've had an oligarchy made up of radical leftist billionaires. And as you said, he just gave a big award to George Soros, one of the leaders of that group. So across the board, the fundamental transformation of America that President Obama promised us, President Biden continued down that road, but it's fundamentally destroying America. So he set America on decline. He weakened America across the board. And when America is weak, the world's a more dangerous place. Our adversaries notice it. So again, this has been a disaster of administration, the worst, the most corrupt president. That's his legacy.
Senator Johnson and other Republican senators met with the incoming president in D.C. yesterday about the first 100-day agenda. Here's more on that.
President Trump has raised the possibility of having the bulk of his agenda approved in Congress by potentially one or two big, what they call the big, beautiful bills. Here's what he said about that.
There's great unity. Whether it's one bill or two bill, it's going to get done one way or the other. I think there's a lot of talk about two. And there's a lot of talk about one, but it doesn't matter. The end result is the same. We're going to get something done that's going to be reducing taxes and creating a lot of jobs and all of the other things that you know about. But this was a really unified meeting.
It seems like an unusual approach. Senator, is that a modality that you would recommend? And how long could something like that take to bring to the floor, like a one big bill or maybe two large bills with a whole bunch of priorities in them?
Well, I'm definitely in favor of the two-step process because we need to provide him the funding for the full 4 years to secure the border, the top priority. And that would be relatively easy. There's not much disagreement. The larger tax package and spending package is going to be more complex. I think America can rest easy, though. We are absolutely dedicated to make sure there's not a massive automatic tax increase that takes place in 2026. So we've got that amount of time. From my standpoint, I'd like to take that time to simplify and rationalize our tax code, take a look at some of the proposals that President Trump ran on during the campaign. So again, that's just more complex. And from my standpoint, job one, after you secure the border, is we have to bring down spending levels. Yeah. The metric we need to focus on is total spending. Went from 4.4 trillion, average 6.5. Right now, we're spending about $7 trillion a year. Completely unjustified, completely unsustainable. We've got to get back to some pre-pandemic level. I've laid out a couple of options. Using baseline years, Bill Clinton, increasing that by population growth, inflation, using today's Social Security, Medicare, and interest. That would put us at $5.5 trillion. We'd have a balanced budget.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen your formula. It actually makes a lot of sense, Senator.
Newsmax host Tom Basile with Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. President Trump is expected to announce as many as 200 day one executive orders today that will include immediately closing the border to illegal aliens and declaring a national emergency at the border, designating the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, reinstituting Remain in Mexico, directing the military to start reconstruction of a new phase of the border wall, suspend security clearance for the 51 national security officials who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop, instruct the DOJ to investigate who was really behind Joe Biden's executive actions, which is only a small sample of why the Democrats were completely terrified in Pam Bondi's hearing last week and asked the questions that they asked. Well, at least a lot of the questions. President Trump will also order federal workers to return to work in the office, and then there's a slew of energy-related executive actions as well, and on and on. The other big story is the Israel-Hamas ceasefire, which is holding so far. Began yesterday, and 3 Israeli hostages were released. One of the 3 is 28-year-old Emily Damari, a British-Israeli citizen who was kidnapped by Hamas terrorists from her apartment. She wasn't even at the October 7th concert. She was sitting in her apartment on kibbutz. This is her mother on X.
President-elect Donald Trump, you have really made my dream come true, but it's not over. My dream is still going on until I see Emily and all of the other 98 hostages back in Israel with their families. I just want to say thank you so much for getting and pushing that deal to be signed. I want to thank all the mediators and negotiators and anyone else who's been connected to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Emily Damari, Duran Steinbrecher, and Romy Gonen were handed over to the Red Cross by Hamas. The Red Cross then transported them from Gaza to Israel yesterday, ending their living hell of 471 days in Hamas captivity. The next phase of the complicated multi-phase ceasefire calls for a focus on a permanent ceasefire and the removal of troops from Gaza, and then the release of more hostages in coming weeks. So there are a lot of people holding their breath, praying that the ceasefire holds out and that the rest of the plan plays out. Make sure you keep it on Newsmax all day and night for the inauguration, the parade, post-inauguration events, commentary, and breaking news. I'm Tony Marino. This is the Newsmax Daily. Soak it all up, my friend. History in the making. And to think, just to think about the things that President Trump and the Trump family went through to get to this point, it's nothing short of astonishing to see what is happening today based on what's happened in the past, right? Enjoy it and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Relentlessly slowing the spread of the stupid every day. It's the Rob Carson Show.
Hey, it's Rob Carson. My podcast is about leading-edge commentary and opinion, great guests, and the biggest political comedy in the country. My satire was featured on the Rush Limbaugh program for over a decade, and now it's fresh and new and on my podcast. It's not just another desk-pounding conservative tirade. It's about entertaining, informing, and motivating. Patriotism and hope. You don't need more stress in your life. You need to feel good and, dare I say, even laugh. Subscribe and download at your favorite podcast platform or go to newsmax.com/listen.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.